Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today we are spinning the color wheel to decide what books I will be reading for the next few days. If the angle it seems a little bit weird, it's because I can fit myself and the tablet, my 9-year-old tablet, which will be working today, so we can see the wheel. Let's spin the wheel. I will pick 3 different colors and 3 different books. So let's pick the first color. Spin. Let's pick a good color. Deep purple. What do I have that it is deep purple? Ideally, we should pick a book from my June TBR, which is where the 9-year-old tablet is propped up. But we don't have anything deep purple in this pile. So what do we have? Okay, so I got all the books that are kind of deep purpley that are on my physical TBR. One of them is The Battle of Versailles by Robin Gibbon. This is a non-fiction about the Battle of Versailles, which is a fashion battle. And I had this for many years, but I never read it. Another option, this is a newer addition to my TBR. It is The Happy Couple by Nisha Dolan, and this is about an ensemble of characters, and the story takes place around a wedding ceremony that is doomed to fail. Then I got these 2 ones before I found other deep purple options, but they are more blue, which is, it happened one summer and everyone knows I love, but they are more blue, so I don't think they fit. And then we have The Nutcracker by Alexandre Dumas. I think ideally I should read this one because it has been on my TBR for so long. But also The Happy Couple sounds really interesting, and The Nutcracker, I really want to read it, but I think this is more of a Christmassy read, so I'm not sure. I think I'm going with The Nutcracker by Alexandre Dumas because Dumas, it's one of my favorite authors. And I just peeked inside this book and there are some really cute pictures in it. And yeah, like, this is so cute. So I think I'm going with The Nutcracker. Let's get back to the color wheel and let's spin a second time to see what color the next book in this wheel will be. Spin. It is amber, which is kind of a orange color, and I'm not the biggest fan of orange. Do you have anything like that? We have Emma here, which the spine is orange, but I think overall it is more of a true orange than amber. I picked 2 more books that I found on my TBR. So we have Cover Story, which the spine seems to be in real life. On camera it seems like a little bit more orange, but in real life it's more amber. And then have The Bodyguard by Katherine. Which one do we want? I think I'm going with The Bodyguard by Katherine because, to be honest, in real life this cover is pretty much amber. So second book of this video will be The Bodyguard by Katherine. Let's get back to the wheel and choose a 3rd book for this video. So spin the wheel. Deep orange. No, I'm not doing deep orange because we already have amber and I don't like orange. So I'm cheating. I will spin another time. Another color, please. Light green. If you're going specific light green, we have some options here. We have Vladimir, which is on my June TBR, but that is a more deeper green. In terms of light green, we have Bodyguard by Emilia Hart. This is a historical fiction with hints of, I think, fantasy. Then we have a fantasy, which is Threats of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And then we have The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I am really curious about all these books, but if I'm going to be honest, I think I'm going to do a little cheat again, sorry, but I'm going with Vladimir by Julia May Jones because it's on my TBR. Let me Vladimir. Ooh, jump scare. Vladimir. We are actually 1 minute. Vladimir by Julia May Jones. The cover is redacted because I just think it's one of the most awful covers I ever seen. And it is green, It is kind of cheating because it is not exactly light green, but I want to get through my June TBR at least a little bit. Hello, so I finished reading The Nutcracker, and one thing I kind of wasn't aware, kind of didn't pay attention, is that my version of The Nutcracker, or the edition of The Nutcracker that I own, it actually has two versions of the same story. So we have the original version, which is by E.T.A. Hoffmann, and then we have the retelling by Alexandre Dumas, which is they call it the classic version because it is the most well-known version of the story. It is the version that inspired the ballet and also many movies, such as the Barbie movie, which was the original way where I got to know about, or I learned about this story, was Barbie and Nutcracker. I actually had the little doll from that movie and I loved it. It was one of my favorite Barbie movies growing up. But going back to the book, I finished reading it and it is a short story. I think it's a little bit over 200 pages, the Alexandre Dumas retelling, and a little over 100 pages, the original version by E.T.A. Hoffmann. But this is in my edition, which is a pocket edition, so it is not that big. Also, it has the original drawings from the I think the original version in the French edition of this story, and it is really cute. I love this edition that I own. It is really cute, and overall the story, I already knew about the story because of the Barbie movie and also the Nutcracker. It is a famous story, and maybe a little fun fact, but I love the music from the ballet. I never actually watched the ballet, but I love the music by Tchaikovsky. I actually have it saved on Spotify, and it is one of my favorite background music right after the soundtrack for Bridgerton. So I was already expecting to like this book. The story, it is so cute and heartwarming and very kid friendly. This is actually a story about kids, and for kids. And if you are not aware, the Nutcracker, it follows this little girl, and originally they are from Germany in the 1700s, and it takes place right at Christmas Eve, and this girl and her brother, they are waiting for their parents to let them open their presents. And also they have this godfather who he's kind of magical. He gives the kids this very magical avant-garde kind of gifts. They're very different. There isn't much of that at the era. And then a little girl who's called Marie, she finds this doll who is a nutcracker, and he's kind of an ugly doll. The proportions of this doll, they just don't seem to work. It's kind of a mystery how this doll kind of can stay up because his proportions are just off. But Marie, she just likes him even though he's kind of ugly. And then still on Christmas Eve, her brother accidentally breaks the doll and she gets very attached to it. And then she decides to stay in the room way past her bedtime with this doll. And she thinks she witnessed this battle between the doll, the Nutcracker, the other dolls that are in the armoire in this room, and the king of the rats. I didn't read this story in English, so I'm not remembering the name correctly, but it is a king of rats of sorts. And then there is this seven-headed rat and the other little rats in this war against the Nutcracker. And then there's a battle, and people think she's crazy, but that is for you to find out. I'm not sure, should I give you the ending of the story, because it is such an old and classic story that I think a lot of people heard at least a little bit about it, but I'm not sure, so I won't give you any spoilers. So let's talk about the two different versions of the story that I read, which is the Alexandre Dumas retelling and the original version by E.T.A. Hoffmann. Personally, I prefer the retelling by Alexandre Dumas because first, I'm just a fan of Dumas. I really like the way he tells the story. I think also his retelling, it is more atmospheric, which makes it a little bit more cozy, a little bit more magical and whimsical. And I just like the retelling, but the structure of the story is basically the same. The original version by E.T. Hoffman, it is also really good. I really liked it, but it just lacks a little bit of that atmosphere that Dumas managed to add to the story. So I ended up giving the Nutcracker 4 stars because it's just so cute. It is just so whimsical and a perfect little Christmas story that I read way before Christmas. I finished reading The Bodyguard, and let's just say I didn't exactly read this book in one day. I read it in 2 days because I needed to go to sleep. But this book, oh my god, it's just so cute. It's just so adorable. So The Bodyguard follows Hannah and Jack. Hannah, she's a bodyguard and she's really good at her job. And one day she gets a job with Jack, who is this big Hollywood star. He is gorgeous, he's talented, he's super famous, and he has a stalker. So he needs a bodyguard, and he's going back to Texas to his family ranch because his mother is sick. And he doesn't want his mother to start worrying about the fact that he has a stalker. So they hired Hannah, and Hannah is now pretending to be his girlfriend. It was just so cute. I like the setting of the ranch. I liked all the shenanigans they get to in the ranch, the horse, the piggyback ride, the river, all the little things. I loved Hannah as a character, her struggles, they are relatable. I love Jack as a romantic hero. I love Jack. It's just, I really like him. He's funny. I just like these characters. I like them together. And this book is just so much fun. I love also Jack's family. His brother was kind of annoying at the beginning, but I think that wasn't meant. He was meant to be annoying, but overall, I really liked his family and his struggles, and the side characters are also really, I like them. There are some that are just, they are kind of annoying, but the way they are treated throughout and they are written in the book, it's cool. There are some, they're just, I like the side characters. I liked everything about this book. Like, talking about it now, I feel like I should almost give it a 5-star, but this book doesn't necessarily change my view. I do agree with Emily Henry because she says in the cover, my perfect 10 of a book, but this book for me also, it's just so perfect. It's just, it feels good, it feels fun to read, it is easy to read. I like the way it is written. This is also, by the way, if you don't like smutty romance novels, this book, it is closed door. I keep like clicking through it because I just love this book. I think it is just so cute. I like the cover, I like the characters, I like the story. And how much can I say without giving you spoilers? What else can I say? This book, it's amazing. It is worth the hype. If you want a feel-good book, if you want like a palette cleanser, if you just want something fun, fluffy, easy to read, I do recommend The Bodyguard. I think it was a great investment of my time, actually. So yes, The Bodyguard. It's somewhere between a 4 and a 5-star. I need to decide, is this book worth a 5-star? Maybe. An update for Vladimir. This book, I'll talk more about what the plot is about on my final wrap-up, my final review of this book, but I am around, there isn't much left of the book, but it is kind of getting twisted and I'm not sure. I think I know where this will lead. I'm not sure if this leads to where my mind is going. It will be kind of disturbing, and I'll just continue reading because now I'm curious. It's kind of weird. Hello, so I finished reading Vladimir by Julia May Jonas, and the last time I talked with you, I think it was a midway catch-up update about this book where I talked about thinking something would happen and it would be something really bad. Turns out I was kind of wrong, but I'm not mad about it because after that, the last 75 pages, the ending of this book, I thought it took a fascinating turn that I really like. But what is Vladimir about? I still hate this cover, by the way, but it does make more sense that this is the cover. And if I'm going to be honest, comparing to the cover I actually like, which is that red color, I think this one makes more sense, even though it is earlier, and I will be putting down, or maybe I will be turning this book around so we don't need to continue looking at it. But Vladimir, it follows this college professor and her husband, who is the chair of the department. He is being investigated for having relationships with students. So she and her husband, they have this open marriage. They already had an agreement. They knew they were having relationships with other people. She wasn't necessarily aware of the students. And even though the relationships her husband had with the students were consensual, he's still being investigated for his behavior. And she is still coming to terms with it, coming to terms with the fact that he was having affairs with these much younger women, but also with the fact that he's not only being investigated, but this is having repercussions to her life, because now people, sometimes they think she's complicit, sometimes people, they assume she didn't know he was having an affair, that they assumed they didn't have an open relationship, she was just being the wife that was cheated on. And there's this pressure from other students, from the department, because some students feel a little bit uncomfortable with her. There is a lot going on in her life, and on top of that, her relationship with her daughter is also, it is not on the best of terms, because her daughter is also like, did you know he was having relationships with his students? And she thinks she was complicit, so there's a lot going on in her life. And then at the beginning of the semester, during the summer break, I think it is when this book starts, they hired this new professor called Vladimir. He's a very hyped up author in the literary world. He has been getting a lot of praise for his book, and he just got hired to teach at the school as the Nutcracker professor. So he moves to this small town, which the setting of this book takes place in upstate New York, in a small town, a small expensive college. So he moves there, and one day he shows up at her house to deliver a copy of his book because her husband was curious about it. And he goes to her house, they start talking, and from then on she becomes really curious about him. And at that moment where he goes to visit her, it is born this obsession with Vladimir. The beginning of the book, I really enjoyed it. I didn't really understand much about the characters, but as you get to know them, it all makes sense. Our main character, which is the unnamed professor, she's also the narrator, she is very obsessed with appearing young, and she's very concerned about aging and the changes in her body. She's very self-conscious, which is something that just fuels her obsession with this new professor and his wife and his life. And also it makes her feelings toward her husband's relationship with the students even more complicated, because she's thinking he's going after these very young women, and she's very conscious about aging. And the beginning was really fascinating because she was very much in this inner turmoil because of the things going on in her life and the situations and what was going on in general because of the aftermath of her husband being investigated. And then we get to that point of the update I gave you while reading it, and then things, they do kind of an 180, and it is so interesting. The ending is just so fascinating for me. For a brief moment I thought about maybe should I give this book 5 stars, but no, I wouldn't necessarily give this book 5 stars, but this is definitely a more higher tier 4 stars. This book was surprisingly funny. It has this dark humor kind of vibe. It is bold, it is very interesting, and I'm not sure if everyone would like. And this is very much an unhinged main character kind of book, so if you like that kind of vibe, that kind of novel, maybe you will enjoy this. And yes, this is Vladimir. I think I'm already rambling a lot. I'm going to let you find out more about it if you ever decide to read it. I do recommend this book if you like unhinged main characters or if you like campy style of novels. So yes, this is it for this video. If you liked it, please consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel to get more bookish videos on your subscription box. And I hope to see you soon with another video. Bye!